Have you ever wondered why your relationships keep repeating? Why? No matter how different the faces, the story always seems the same. It's as if you've been living inside an invisible script, replaying a love story that ends the same way every time. This isn't coincidence. This is entanglement. You didn't find this message by chance. Your consciousness magnetized it because you've reached the frequency where you're ready to understand the hidden mechanics of your love loops. Right now, as you read these words, something in your energy field is stirring, recognizing the truth that has been waiting for you all along. In quantum physics, entanglement means that two particles, once connected, remain linked, no matter how far apart they are. What happens to one instantly influences the other. But here's the shocking truth. Your heart works the same way. Every unresolved attachment, every emotional imprint from your past, remains entangled in your field until it's cleared. You'll keep collapsing into the same kind of relationships, different bodies, same frequency. Think of it like a quantum mirror. Each partner you meet reflects the vibration you're still carrying. You're not cursed. You're coherent with an old timeline, and your observer effect keeps collapsing it into your reality again and again. But the fact that you're here proves something extraordinary. You're ready to disentangle. Most people never see the web that binds them. They call it bad luck or karma, but you know better. You can feel that there's something deeper happening, something invisible pulling the strings. That's why you're here, because the quantum field has chosen this exact moment to reveal the hidden key. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why your relationships keep repeating, how entanglement has been shaping your love story, and most importantly, how to finally break free. Have you ever noticed that no matter how different the person is, your relationships somehow keep replaying the same story? The beginning feels new, filled with hope and excitement. But soon the old patterns resurface, the same arguments, the same disappointments, the same painful ending that makes you wonder if love is cursed for you. It's as if you're stuck inside a loop that keeps dragging you back into the same movie with different actors. This isn't coincidence. This is what quantum consciousness describes as an observer loop. Each morning when you wake up, your awareness automatically scans for familiar frequencies. Without realizing it, you collapse the same emotional probability fields that shaped your past. And because the field is coherent with what feels familiar, you end up attracting the same kind of partners, the ones who resonate with your unhealed wounds. That's why you may have felt like you keep attracting the same type. It's not attraction, it's entanglement. The trap deepens because the more you notice the repetition, the more energy you give it. In quantum terms, attention is creation. Every time you observe with strong emotion, you collapse that possibility into reality again. That's why your relationships feel like déjà vu. They are not random events. They are echoes of unresolved frequency patterns repeating themselves through your field. Your consciousness works like a quantum GPS. It selects destinations not because they are right for you, but because they are familiar, even if you swear you'll never fall into the same situation again. Your energy system unconsciously follows the last coordinates. It knows. That's why even with someone new, the conversations eventually feel recycled, the emotional triggers strangely familiar, and the endings eerily predictable. These are temporal echoes, glimpses of the same probability field repeating itself until you choose differently. The paradox is that your nervous system clings to what it knows, even if it hurts. The brain equates familiarity with safety, not health. So if your early imprints are filled with rejection, betrayal, or neglect. Your subconscious keeps searching for those signatures in new relationships. On the surface, you are searching for love. But underneath, your field is seeking coherence with your old pain. When it finds it, something in you relaxes, not because it's right, but because it matches what you've carried for so long. This is why toxic relationships can feel magnetic. It's not that you love the chaos, it's that the chaos resonates with your unresolved imprint. Quantum researchers would call this probability collapse through emotional memory. The past isn't just a memory in your mind, it is stored in your energetic field, repeating itself like a code until it is released. Without awareness, that code keeps pulling you toward people who fit the script. The real trap is mistaking repetition for destiny. You might call it fate or karma, when in truth it is entanglement. You're not cursed, you are simply coherent with an old timeline that hasn't been dissolved yet. And until you see the loop clearly, your energy keeps collapsing the same version of reality again and again. But here's the shift. The very fact that you are becoming aware of this cycle means the loop has already begun to weaken. Every déjà vu you've felt in love, every eerie recognition that this has happened before, was your quantum sensitivity detecting the repetition. Most people dismiss these moments as imagination. But you are not like most people. You feel the deeper truth. And that awareness is the first crack in the cycle. Every heartbreak you've experienced wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Each repetition was life showing you the hidden script more clearly, urging you to see that you are not trapped by chance, but by unconscious coherence. The universe has been giving you the same pattern, not to punish you, but to help you recognize your own power in collapsing reality. Because once you see the loop, you are no longer fully inside it. And when you step outside the trap, its grip begins to dissolve. Your relationships don't repeat because love isn't meant for you. They repeat because your entangled attention has been unconsciously creating them. But the moment you awaken to the loop, you begin to break it. Awareness is the first disentanglement. And once it starts, your shift is inevitable. How do you know when quantum entanglement is quietly shaping the course of your love life? The signs are always there. Though most people overlook them or mistake them for coincidence, the first sign is synchronicity. You meet someone at just the right moment when you're feeling lonely, vulnerable, or open, and it feels uncanny. The timing is perfect, as though the universe orchestrated the encounter. For a little while, you convince yourself this must be destiny, a fated connection written in the stars. But soon you realize the synchronicities are not guiding you toward freedom, they're guiding you back into the old loop. What you thought was destiny was actually frequency recognition. The field was simply pairing you with a person who vibrates at the same unresolved frequency you've been carrying inside. Another sign is déjà vu in love. You sit across from someone new, yet everything about the interaction feels strangely recycled. The words, the tone, even the silences carry a familiarity you can't explain. It's not just similar. It's eerily exact, as if you've already played out this moment countless times. These are temporal echoes, vibrations of the same probability field repeating themselves through your relationships. Time itself often bends inside entangled connections. Passionate moments seem to stretch endlessly, while entire weeks or months vanish with no genuine progress. You feel caught in a ripple, a loop where time circulates but doesn't flow forward. This distortion is a hallmark of entanglement. It signals that instead of moving on a linear path of growth, You're circling within the same energetic template, living the illusion of change without experiencing true transformation. You may also notice the way emotions get amplified. A small disagreement becomes a full-blown argument. A minor misunderstanding explodes into drama that feels much bigger than the situation deserves. This happens because you're not only reacting to the partner in front of you, you're reacting to every unresolved memory entangled through them. The field acts like a magnifying glass, pulling past pain into the present moment, making it feel overwhelming. Another sign is the repetition of patterns across different partners. The faces change, the details shift, but the emotional storyline remains the same. One may be controlling, another emotionally distant, another unreliable, but they all trigger the same wound within you. It isn't really about them. It's about the frequency they embody, the resonance they share with your unhealed imprint. That's why your relationships can sometimes feel interchangeable, as if you've been loving the same soul over and over in different disguises. The most deceptive sign of all is the illusion of progress. At first, the relationship feels different. The chemistry is stronger. The lessons feel deeper. And you tell yourself that this time is unlike the others. For a while, you believe you've broken the pattern, but slowly, almost imperceptibly, the old dynamics return. The same conversations, the same conflicts, the same disappointments creep back in, and before long, you realize you're back in the same cycle, only with a different face. This false sense of forward movement is one of entanglement's most powerful traps. It keeps you investing more energy, staying longer, believing that change is just around the corner, when in reality you're circling the same orbit. These signs, synchronicities that feel magical but lead back to the familiar, déjà vu that exposes the echo of old scripts, distortions of time, amplified emotions, recycled patterns in new partners, and the illusion of progress are not punishments, they are messages. The universe is not trying to hurt you. It is flashing the same signal over and over, urging you to wake up and recognize the pattern. Every sign is like a mirror held up to your consciousness, showing you the loop you've been unconsciously collapsing into existence. Once you recognize these signs for what they are, something profound shifts. The entanglement can no longer operate purely unconsciously. The moment you name the loop, its power weakens. Awareness is the first thread of freedom, and once you begin pulling on that thread, the web starts to unravel. Recognition is the first disentanglement, and with it comes the possibility of collapsing a new reality. Most people believe their relationships repeat because of bad choices, unlucky timing, or karmic punishment, but the true reason runs far deeper, hidden in the mechanics of quantum entanglement. In physics, entanglement means that two particles once connected remain bonded. No matter how far apart they travel, a change in one instantly influences the other. This strange connection operates beyond space and time. What scientists discovered about particles, your soul already knows about love. Once your energy field becomes entangled with another, the imprint lingers long after the person has gone. Every unresolved attachment leaves behind a resonance. It doesn't disappear just because you've moved on, or because you've decided you're ready for something new. That resonance remains coded into your field, waiting for collapse into another partner who matches it. This is why you keep meeting people who reflect the same wound. It's not that the universe is cruel, it's that your field is still carrying the script until you release it. Your attention unconsciously collapses the same storyline again and again, Think of it like an invisible script that writes itself beneath the surface of your choices. You believe you're choosing freely, but the script already dictates the type of roles that appear in your life. Every heartbreak is another line written into that code. Every disappointment reinforces the imprint, and so your field continues to project the same characters, casting new faces into old roles. The entanglement doesn't just live in memory, it lives in your body. Your nervous system is wired by past experiences, tuned to recognize and seek out familiar vibrations. When someone enters your life carrying a frequency that matches an unresolved imprint, your body reacts instantly. It feels like attraction. It feels like chemistry. But it's actually resonance with your own unhealed energy. The magnetism is real. But it's not romance, it's coherence with pain. This is why you sometimes feel powerless in relationships. As if you're being pulled into dynamics you swore you'd never repeat. The mechanics of entanglement bypass rational thought. They operate through your field, through unconscious recognition. It's less like you're choosing and more like you're being chosen. That frequency acts like a quantum spider web, catching you in its threads, pulling you back into the loop. Entanglement also explains why certain relationships feel impossible to let go of. Even when you know they're unhealthy, the field doesn't release easily. Energetic cords stretch across time and space, binding you to patterns until you consciously disentangle. That's why you can leave the person but still feel haunted by them, dreaming of them, sensing their energy in your life long after they're gone. The bond isn't in the physical, it's in the field. What makes this trap so powerful is that entanglement feeds itself. The more you focus on the pain, the more energy you give the imprint, the stronger the imprint becomes. The more likely it is to collapse into reality again. This is the mechanics of repetition. Observation strengthens coherence, and coherence keeps the loop alive. That is why attention is so critical in the quantum field. What you feed with attention survives. What you withdraw attention from dissolves. The hidden mechanics of entanglement reveal a shocking truth. You're not just repeating because of memory, or trauma, or poor judgment. You're repeating because your energy field is still running the old program. Every person you meet is a mirror, reflecting the imprint you're carrying. Until you shift the imprint, the reflections won't change. You could cross the world, meet completely new people, even reinvent yourself externally, but the quantum field will still organize your relationships according to the hidden code. The invisible script continues until you break it. That's the quantum law. But the good news is this: once you become aware of the mechanics, the script loses power. Recognition interrupts coherence. By naming the pattern, you begin the process of disentanglement. The old program can only run when it remains unconscious. The moment you shine awareness on it, it starts to unravel. So when you ask, why do I keep attracting the same kind of partner? The answer is not fate. And it's not punishment. It's entanglement. It's the unseen physics of your own field replaying itself until you choose differently. Once you understand this, you no longer need to blame yourself, or blame love, or fear relationships. You simply need to disentangle. Awareness is the doorway, and once you step through it, the entire field begins to shift. Here is the truth that almost nobody tells you: you are not repeating painful relationships because you are cursed, unlucky, or somehow unworthy of love. The reason your love life keeps circling back to the same story is because of the trap of entanglement. Once your energy becomes bound to a certain frequency, it weaves an invisible structure around you, and every choice you make, every attraction you feel, Every synchronicity that pulls you into the arms of another partner is filtered through that structure. You believe you are free, but in truth you are moving inside a carefully woven web. Entanglement doesn't care about your desires. You can declare, I want something new. I want something healthy. I want something safe. But if your attention is still tied to old imprints, the field collapses those imprints into reality again and again. This is the cruel elegance of quantum law. What you observe with intensity becomes real. And in love, what you fear or obsess over is what you magnetize. The trap doesn't punish you. It simply mirrors the focus of your energy. Picture it as a quantum spider web, spun from threads of memory and emotion. The more you thrash against it unconsciously, the tighter it holds. You meet someone new. You think they're different, but their vibration resonates with your unresolved imprint. And before you notice, the web has pulled you back in. You were never really choosing freely. The trap was choosing for you. Through the frequency you carried, this is why it feels like destiny gone wrong. You swear you'll never repeat the same mistake. Yet you end up in a carbon copy of the same heartbreak. You think, maybe love just isn't for me. But the truth is, love isn't against you. The entanglement is within you. The field doesn't care about faces. It only recognizes frequencies. As long as you're coherent with the old imprint, the trap remains active, pulling you back into the same timeline. Here's the shocking part. Every time you try to break free by obsessing over the past, analyzing what went wrong, replaying the betrayal, fearing the same outcome, you are actually feeding the trap. The very act of focusing on it energizes it. What you resist persists. What you fear, you magnetize. Entanglement feeds on your attention. The web survives by using your own energy against you. It's like being locked in an invisible prison. The walls are made of thought, memory, and unresolved emotion. You can't see the bars, but you can feel them every time you try to love differently and end up in the same story. You can leave the person, move to a new city, change everything about your external life, but unless the imprint changes, the prison moves with you. The trap is portable because it lives in your field. This explains why some relationships feel impossible to let go of, even when you know they're toxic. You block their number, you cut contact, but their presence haunts your dreams. Their energy lingers in your space. That's entanglement cords, stretching across time and space. You're not just remembering them, you're still connected through the field. And until you consciously disentangle, the web keeps tugging on you, pulling you back toward the same frequency. But once you see the trap, something extraordinary happens. The prison is only powerful when you believe it's fate. The web only holds you when you mistake it for destiny. The moment you say, this is not karma, this is not punishment, this is entanglement, the structure begins to collapse. Awareness dissolves coherence. Recognition breaks the spell. Suddenly, you are no longer the helpless victim of repeating love stories. And here is the deepest revelation: you were never really trapped by the people who hurt you. You were trapped by the timeline you hadn't yet dissolved. Each partner was just a mirror, carrying the unresolved imprint in your field. The shock is realizing that it was never being done to you. You were unconsciously doing it with your own energy. Painful at first, yes, but also liberating, because if you were the one collapsing the loop, you can also be the one to stop. The entanglement trap is powerful, but it is not permanent. Once you declare, I no longer collapse this timeline, The field begins to reorganize, the chords weaken, the déjà vu fade, and you find yourself drawn toward relationships that feel unfamiliar, in the best way lighter, freer, more aligned with who you truly are. The web unravels thread by thread, until what once felt magnetic to your pain no longer has any pull at all. Once you recognize the trap of entanglement, the next question arises: how do you break free? Awareness cracks the web. But awareness alone is not enough. You must begin the path of disentanglement, which is less about forcing change and more about gently rewiring the frequencies you've been carrying. This path is not linear. It is not about rejecting love or avoiding connection. It is about shifting the resonance within you so that what you attract, collapse, and embody finally reflects the freedom you've chosen. The first step is recognition of patterns without judgment. Many people look back at their failed relationships with shame or regret, thinking they wasted time or chose poorly. But every repetition was a mirror. Every echo was life showing you the script more clearly, urging you to see it for what it is. When you shift from blame to recognition, the loop begins to weaken. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me again?" you begin asking, "What frequency in me was this reflecting?" In that single question transforms the story from punishment to empowerment. The next step is breaking coherence with the old imprint. Remember that entanglement survives through familiarity. Your nervous system has been wired to seek out what feels known, even if it hurts. To disentangle, you must introduce your system to new frequencies, ones that feel foreign at first, but ultimately safer and healthier. This may mean choosing solitude instead of clinging to chaos. It may mean pausing when your body craves the rush of drama. It may mean sitting with discomfort rather than rushing to fill it with another entangled partner. Every time you make a different choice, you are interrupting the loop. Imagine it like retuning a radio. For years, you've been stuck on a channel filled with static and painful songs. Yet you kept listening because it was the only station you knew. Disentanglement is choosing to slowly turn the dial. At first, the new frequency feels strange, maybe even silent. But with patience, the clarity emerges. Another part of the path is reclaiming your attention. Entanglement feeds on focus. The more you replay the past, the more energy you give the imprint. Disentanglement requires you to withdraw attention from the old storyline and redirect it toward the future you want to collapse. This path also involves releasing cords. Energetic attachments can linger long after physical separation. You may feel someone in your dreams or sense their presence when you're alone. That is entanglement still active. To disentangle, you must consciously release these cords, not with anger, but with intention. Disentanglement also means embracing the unfamiliar. Remember that what feels magnetic isn't always what is right. Toxicity often feels intense because it resonates with your old imprint. True coherence may feel calm, steady, and even boring at first. Most importantly, the path to disentanglement is not about perfection. You may stumble, fall back into familiar loops, or feel the pull of old frequencies. Every moment of awareness weakens the old web. Eventually, disentanglement becomes your natural state. The cords fall away. The déjà vu fade. You find yourself drawn to connections that feel fresh, expansive, and aligned with who you've become. And when old patterns appear, you see them instantly for what they are: just echoes. No longer compelling, no longer binding. That is freedom. So the path is not about rejecting love. It is about disentangling from false versions of it. It is about collapsing the timeline where pain repeats and choosing the one where love expands. Every choice, every breath, every declaration pulls another thread from the web, and with each thread released, your field grows lighter, freer, more coherent with the love you were always meant to embody. Disentanglement is not only a grand decision, it is also a series of small, consistent practices that gradually rewire your field. Shifts don't always happen in one dramatic breakthrough. Often, they unfold through micro-choices, simpler rituals, and gentle acts of reclaiming your energy. These micro-practices may seem small, but in quantum terms, every shift in focus is a shift in reality. Each moment of coherence weakens the old loop and strengthens the timeline you want to embody. One of the simplest practices is conscious breathing. Place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths. As you inhale, silently say, "I receive new energy." As you exhale, declare, "I release old entanglement." Do this whenever you feel triggered, whenever déjà vu pulls you into fear, whenever the old patterns seem to return. In those few breaths, you are reprogramming your nervous system, reminding your field that it is safe to release. The body learns through repetition, and every breath is an instruction to choose coherence instead of repetition. Another powerful micro-practice is writing declarations. Take a piece of paper and write the words, "This loop ends now." Look at the sentence. Feel the weight of it. Then either burn the paper or tear it into small pieces. This symbolic act sends a strong signal to your subconscious. The old story no longer has authority over you. You are not waiting for freedom to come from outside, you are declaring it from within. The ritual itself does not fix everything, but it activates a powerful psychological and energetic shift. Visualization is another subtle but transformative tool. When you notice the pull of old entanglement, close your eyes and imagine a quantum mirror shattering. See the cracks spreading, the glass dissolving, and behind it, a new doorway opening. Step through that doorway in your mind, feeling yourself enter a timeline of freedom and love. The subconscious responds strongly to imagery. By repeatedly rehearsing a new outcome, you are training your field to expect and accept a new kind of relationship. Another practice is cord-cutting meditation. Sit quietly. Imagine the person you feel entangled with standing before you. Visualize energetic cords connecting you to them at the heart, the throat, the mind. Then, with compassion, imagine gently dissolving those cords. As you release them, say, "I return your energy to you, and I reclaim my energy for myself." This practice isn't about anger or rejection, it's about restoring sovereignty. Over time, the lingering pull of old connections weakens, and you feel lighter, freer, more centered in yourself. Even simple daily choices can become micro-practices. When you notice yourself obsessing over the past, gently shift your focus. Place your attention on something that makes you feel alive, a walk in nature, listening to music that uplifts you, writing in a journal. Every time you choose to redirect your focus, you interrupt the web. Another subtle but profound practice is learning to normalize peace. At first, stability may feel boring compared to the highs and lows of toxic intensity, but sit with it. Place your hand on your chest and whisper, "Peace is safe. Calm is love. Stability is freedom." The more you affirm this, the more your nervous system adapts. Eventually, what once felt dull becomes deeply nourishing. You can also anchor micro-practices into your daily routines. For example, each morning when you wake up, say aloud, "I collapse the timeline of love that honors me." Before you sleep, whisper, "I release all cords that do not belong to my highest path." These statements, repeated consistently, shift your baseline frequency. Every declaration, every breath, every visualization creates ripples that reshape your energetic coherence. Entanglement thrives on unconsciousness. Micro-practices make you conscious. They are anchors of awareness that keep you awake, present, and sovereign in your choices. The path of disentanglement is not about one grand act of freedom. It is about thousands of small decisions, practiced daily, until the old cords no longer exist. Every time you choose peace over chaos, every time you breathe through a trigger instead of collapsing into it, every time you declare a new timeline, you are disentangling. And with each practice, the old web unravels until it finally disappears. When you disentangle from old timelines in love, something far bigger begins to unfold. The shift is not only personal, it is collective. Every time you free yourself from an old imprint, you are not just collapsing a new timeline for your own relationships. You are contributing to a field of love that affects humanity as a whole. This is the mystery of collective awakening. Your personal disentanglement becomes part of a morphic resonance, a frequency that others unconsciously feel and respond to. Imagine the world as an ocean of interconnected frequencies. For centuries, most love stories have been entangled with pain, betrayal, abandonment, power struggles, cycles of fear. Those frequencies ripple through the collective field, shaping what people expect and accept as normal. This is why your healing is never selfish. To disentangle from toxic timelines is to add coherence to the collective. Your personal peace becomes a frequency that others can tune into. Without saying a word, without teaching or preaching, you are already contributing to awakening simply by embodying a new template of love. When you choose peace over chaos, trust over fear, sovereignty over entanglement, you help rewrite the collective script. Think of it as a chain reaction. When one person stops normalizing pain in love, it weakens the collective pattern that says pain is inevitable. When you collapse a new timeline where relationships are conscious and coherent, you open the door for others to feel that possibility too. They may not even know why they feel it, but your frequency ripples through the field, inspiring them to demand something better. This is how collective evolution happens, through the invisible exchange of resonance. You are part of a generation awakening to this truth. We are not doomed to repeat the cycles of our parents or grandparents. We are not condemned to live inside the scripts of betrayal and fear that humanity has carried for centuries. We are here to collapse new realities. We are here to embody love that is free, conscious, and expansive, and it begins with each of us disentangling from the old, one choice at a time. The beauty of collective awakening is that it amplifies itself. When you heal, you give silent permission for others to heal. When you embody love without entanglement, you make it easier for others to do the same. And as more people shift, the collective field reorganizes. The vibration of humanity rises. What once felt rare becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes obvious. This is why your work matters more than you know. It is not just about finding a healthy partner or feeling personal peace. It is about contributing to the quantum tipping point where love itself evolves. Every breath you take in awareness, every declaration of sovereignty, Every small act of coherence sends ripples through the ocean of human consciousness. Those ripples collide, amplify, and eventually become waves strong enough to transform the whole planet. Imagine standing on the shore of that ocean, watching the tide turn. For centuries, the waves carried pain, repeating the same cycles across generations. But now, the tide is shifting, a new frequency is rising, and you are part of it. Your disentanglement is not only your liberation, it is humanity's evolution. This is the greatest hope of all, that we are not trapped in the old story forever. We are capable of creating a new collective field where love is no longer entangled with suffering, where relationships are not prisons but portals, where intimacy is not about control or fear but about freedom and awakening. This vision is not a fantasy, it is already happening. Through you, through me, through all of us who are choosing differently. So when you doubt yourself, when you feel small or wonder if your healing matters, remember this: every thread you cut, every loop you break, every breath you take in freedom echoes across the field. You are part of a great wave of awakening. And your shift is helping to carry all of us into a new timeline of love. You did not arrive here by accident. If these words have reached you, it is because a deeper part of you has already decided the old loop is over. You have seen the mechanics of entanglement. You have recognized the trap. And now you know the path of freedom. No more collapsing the same painful timeline. No more mistaking chaos for love. No more surrendering your energy to frequencies that no longer serve you. The truth is simple and powerful. You are not cursed. You are not broken. And you are not bound to repeat what came before. You are the observer. You are the one who collapses possibility into reality. And now you choose differently. You collapse the timeline of coherence, of love that uplifts, of connection that expands. You declare that the prison of entanglement has no more authority over you. Remember, this awareness is the first disentanglement, but declaration is the lock that seals it. When you speak your choice, when you put words to your freedom, you send a frequency into the field that cannot be undone. This is why the simplest practice can also be the most powerful. So I invite you now to make your declaration. Speak it out loud. Write it in the comments. Claim it with your whole being. Say, the old loop ends now. I am disentangled. I collapse the timeline of love that honors me. Your voice matters. Your words create coherence. Your declaration becomes part of the morphic resonance that strengthens the collective shift. By claiming your freedom, you give permission for countless others to do the same. So do not leave this moment silently. Mark it, seal it, speak your choice into existence. Let your field hear it. Let the universe hear it. Let your future self hear it. Because once you declare your disentanglement, your shift is irreversible. The web dissolves, the loop collapses, and the door to your highest timeline opens wide.